And we're back.
What up?
What the
What?
Why don't you push back hard against that bull?
I pushed back as hard as I could.
No, don't grant him all that you were granting him.
What was I granting?
It's a disastrous opinion, this immunity decision.
I agree.
But you come in and we're like, I didn't really know, and I like Amy.
I'm being polite. I do like Amy.
Dude, don't like be like, yeah, Gorsuch is great, Amy's great. Amy wrote an opinion that like, that was what we were expecting as a bad opinion. He should not have any criminal immunity whatsoever. And that is garbage that we have to come at this with like a reasoned posture. What do you think about that?
I mean, I slightly agree.
He said he's optimistic about Trump.
He does have some immunity about like you can't criminalize an action that he's obviously granted explicitly, right? But that's why I said before, like nobody is asking that. Everybody knows that. That's obvious.
But you had the great response, which was, you know, Derek Chauvin has the authority to like apprehend and arrest suspects. That doesn't mean that his actions toward George Floyd are therefore immunized from any criminal review.
Sure.
That's bull. That, I mean, that comparison shows
those actions. Yeah, but those actions don't come from the Constitution.
And also, you were so correct because
so correct or incorrect.
You were so correct.
Okay, thank you.
I just wish that you embodied it a little bit more because you get the energy for good logic.
Well, because this guy was at least
it's almost more pernicious though when he does it. Because he puts a rational face to some of this shit.
Damn, you're like going in on this guy. He's not here to defend himself. What the fuck? Why didn't you come out and say anything? What the fuck?
You heard me a couple times. I couldn't even hold it in.
Barely.
Barely.
We should have said something. Fuck you.
Well, you want me to come in and ruin? No, I mean, you gotta be nice as well.
I mean, like, I appreciated his hedging more. That like, if it was as bad as I say it is, it would be absolutely horrible. And he's hoping it's going to be a lot more like what Amy says it should be, which.
But he pulls completely out of his ass. Yeah, the judge can look at the evidence, just not the jury.
I didn't know about that. Actually,
no, that's completely made up.
Well, but then the question is, how do you?
No. The judge can oversee the evidence for purpose of applying the immunity doctrine, but not in a substantive way. There's no like parsing out where he can look at the evidence and the judge can consider in a substantive way all of this act evidence or the stuff related to the pardon.
Sure,
they can just look at it for purposes of applying this bullshit doctrine.
But they would have to the substances. They would have to figure out if the substance is related to the actual power itself, right? No, the substance would be use this to show his guilt with respect to the underlying crime. I don't know if that's just what you just said, but the judge would be looking at it to see is it related to that core power, and then if it is, it's tossed out, right?
Right, but
which is bullshit. I agree.
But he could not consider in a factual, substantive, evidentiary way anything that applies under the doctrine for the purposes of proving or establishing guilt.
Oh, of course, but he would just agree with that. I think he did kind of agree with that, right?
Okay, but it made it sound like he thought that there was a judge-jury distinction for purposes of like using official evidence to prove a crime, which is garbage. And there's no answer, by the way, to the hypotheticals that you presented. You presented a really, really good one, which is he was trying to parse out the difference between a DOJ and an official and why they wouldn't receive the benefit of the president's immunity. Why doesn't it just cascade down?
Yeah.
The only thing he had to say to that was a conclusory, he's not the president. But he couldn't really handle a situation in which, let's say, the president or Congress tries to criminalize the Department of Justice speaking with the president. Say the Attorney General, it's a crime if you talk to the president. Imagine that Congress passes a statute that says it shall be a crime for the Attorney General to talk to the president. Do you think that law would be unconstitutional or would be ruled as such by this court?
Oh, well, those are two different questions. I think I don't know the answer, but I think they would be allowed to do that, right?
No way.
It sounds crazy, but like, isn't every department and office authorized by Congress, and aren't they given the authority to draw the like as Congress decides how those offices interact with the president?
Yes, that they're allowed to do that, but actually, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
the court said both the removal and appointment power and the duty to take care of the laws faithfully executed are part of the reason why communications to the Department of Justice are immunized and are core official. So why would Congress be able to criminalize it from the side of the Department of Justice and criminalize the Attorney General and all of the employees under the Department of Justice, but just not the president if what's being protected are the core executive?
That's what I was kind of saying, because it would flow through. Because like maybe like in a very strict reading, you would say it couldn't, but like Roberts is obviously going beyond that logic. Yeah, he's saying that like, well, if you could even look at the motivations, then that would defeat the whole purpose of the immunity. But if you could criminalize every single thing the DOJ could do, then you're basically criminalizing what Trump could do. So how could they care?
Like imagine that you said that it shall be a crime for the archivists or for the pardon office to have communications with President whoever the president is with respect to pardons.
Yeah.
That, of course, would be unconstitutional, and this court would rule it as such.
Or what if you could make it a crime for the FBI to haul anybody out of the office of the Department of Justice? So now when Trump fires them, they just never leave. But it's a law that the FBI can't go and take that person out of the office.
It's so fucking clear that this doctrine applies more broadly. The logic of it applies more broadly than just the person of the president, but arbitrarily, it's limited to former presidents or what the president while they're in office.
Yeah.
And there's not a good answer to that other than, well, he's not the president. And they didn't actually say it in the opinion that it only ever would apply to the president.
And you know what I don't like that just popped in my head as well? I don't like that. Like he talks about how you don't want to ask questions that you don't want to get the answer to, which there is some, like, obviously you want to stay away from certain things, but think about what the Supreme Court has just invited onto itself.
Yep.
We are now the sole arbiters, us, in determining what a president can be charged with for a crime, and we have completely taken that power unto ourselves to make that determination.
And you said it so...
Holy shit.
You said it so perfectly, too, because you were like, the incentive structure for Trump is going to be different. Now... it's not just the court. Other actors are going to tailor their conduct, whether directly said, like mentioned in the opinion or not, even though investigations are still allowed by the letter of this opinion.
Yeah.
What's going to be the incentive? Why would there be a special counsel to investigate a potential obstruction of justice of the president if we know that, a lot of this stuff is going to be immunized? Why would there even be an investigation? So that's not to say that, I mean, by its own terms, the Supreme Court was upholding a lot of the precedent related to investigations, but because of the immunity decision, other actors are going to respond, and it's going to be chilled conduct. So you're not going to see as much of eyes on the misconduct of this administration.
Well, some is going to be chilled conduct, and other conduct is going to be hotly encouraged.
No, what I mean is the investigations within the administration. Where is the potential? Do you expect, for example, an inspector general or a Hur report style? Well, you haven't read the Hur report, so of course you wouldn't know what that's like. But
what was the point of the Hur report, though? I thought that is he investigating crimes?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you can even
crimes that occurred.
I thought you can indict a sitting president.
Crimes that occurred not when Biden was president.
Oh, so you can indict a sitting president for things he did when he wasn't.
No, he was not going to indict a sitting president.
Oh, so it was just an investigation for funsies,
based on crimes, alleged crimes.
What's the point of investigating a crime if not to charge for the crime?
So you could say the same thing about the Trump charging of the New York documents case.
No, because the goal was to charge him with a crime and convict him of a crime, right?
Yeah, no, but the goal would be potentially after Biden is no longer the sitting president to charge him with the Hur report stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you don't know these things.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
You don't know these things.
I don't think I agree with that one, but okay.
How do you feel that you are a complete hack that didn't even read the Hur report?
I didn't know how to read back then.
So you do all this investigations into Trump. Where are my red-pilled conservative YouTubers? I need you to
the problem is they didn't read the Hur report either. So
they know what it's about. Hey, YouTubers, rise up. No, but
I just don't understand. And the issue is too, like, we're arguing all this over the core stuff. There's a much larger basket of official acts too. Yeah. And we have no idea what a presumptive immunity. And like the thing is too, you know how courts will say like, well, we don't want to answer questions, that we don't want to ask, right? This is criminal stuff, so you have to answer, right? There could be like a case where it's like, okay, well, we don't want to hear that. You can't really do that with criminal stuff, right? You have to take a strong position. You either allow something to go through or you don't. There is no more political questions doctrine when it comes to, charging the president with a crime. So it's very, very, that's a huge power grab by the court.
Huge. Humongous, you might say.
Humongous. And imagine thinking now, fuck this, the more I think about it, the worse it is. Now you have a president who's going to pick a Supreme Court justice knowing that Supreme Court justice might at some point determine whether or not you can be charged with a particular crime that you've done. That's just crazy. I think that's gross.
And you didn't show that heat.
Well, we were talking about it. We went back and forth a lot.
You didn't show that heat, bro.
I said I think it's bad.
Okay. Well, I think it's a little bit worse than that. I think so. The
thing that actually irritated me the most, but he also conceded, but he conceded in a friendly manner. I don't know this guy enough to be like, I'm gonna fucking go hard, okay?
Good logic. You knew good logic though.
Well, but he was saying crazy shit, okay? This guy was saying crazy shit in a nicer voice. No, I'm just kidding. Not as crazy. The fact that I feel like we spent about 20 minutes to get to my original point, which was that originalism is great until we want to do something else. And he seemed to have no problem immediately abandoning it. Oh, yeah, well, there's nothing in here about this. Like, okay, wait, so then this opinion has nothing to do with originalism.
Yeah. And there's no good answer so when the tools of originalism fail you, we have to go look to other tools. Well, that's also true of Roe v. Wade and Casey in these cases where, maybe there's not a clear textual answer. And so you have to look to the structure of the Constitution and of the 14th Amendment. And that's exactly the inquiry that left-wing judicial people have been criticized for fucking years and years. Where is it in their opinion? Where is the text? And you're going to invent some structural argument. But the thing is, the structural argument, which I fucking hate you because you were completely right. I just wish it landed better. The structural argument is all based on policy. It's all based on how you're going to, whether or not you're going to effectively chill or you're going to dissuade correct action from the president. It's not going to be vigorous enough. And so when you are giving policy arguments back, those are actually completely relevant to the analysis that the court gave, because the court was just policy making. They were just making policy. And so when you're
they weren't asking legal questions, they were asking effect questions.
Yes.
Where they were, because I believe, I'd have to go back, I haven't memorized it, but I'm pretty sure Roberts talks explicitly about the fact that a president would never get a fair trial. That's not a procedural question. That's not a law question. That's a question of how do we think a jury would respond, which is wholly outside of any sort of originalist, in my mind, I would imagine. Like, we're not asking questions now like, well, what is the law? What is the Constitution? We're asking like, what would the outcome be? You know?
Yeah, and I just want to also go to another precedent side of Youngstown. He's correct that Youngstown is a case for 1Ls and for constitutional law classes. But Youngstown doesn't deal with criminal immunity, and a bunch of different actors fall under Youngstown. Youngstown wasn't necessarily a suit directly aimed at the president's conduct. Yes, the president seizes the steel seizure mills, but that's applied also to other actors within the executive branch. And so by its own terms, Youngstown applies to the entirety of executive branch action. So how can it be that
I think Fitzgerald did too, didn't it? Did that extend down to people being fired by it? That doesn't absolve like the head of the FAA or whatever. Like, he can't be criminally.
But I think Nixon ordered it.
Sure. Okay.
But the Youngstown analysis would also apply to if the president ordered the Department of Homeland Security to take some action. Maybe you apply Youngstown and see whether or not that is within the exclusive sphere or in the the sheriff's.
If the president ordered something relating to like the airlines though or whatever, you couldn't civilly hold the president liable. I don't think you can go civilly after anybody in the government as well though. No, if they're operating within their job.
If they're authorized to do something, then that's correct. And there's also a difference between. There's a separate line of precedent about what kind of remedy you can have if there is a violation. So there's...
Oh, yeah, because in Fitzgerald, they say you can get back pay. So you're arguably made whole.
Potentially, but there's implied causes of action where you can sue for an injunction against an officer in their official capacity, but you can't necessarily get damages for every single case that you can bring into the government. The government has sovereign immunity, and so they have to open themselves up to be sued for civil damages. And that's why it's really important to keep these precedents separate. A lot of them relate to different doctrines related to whether an action is unlawful generally, whether or not there's civil liability, whether or not there's criminal liability. There's a lot of different things that go into those different frameworks.
And it's like important. Like you ask your mom or dad, like, hey, like I really want to drink, vodka. And they're like, no. And like, well, you let my brother drink vodka. And it's like, well, your brother's 27 and you're 12.
100%.
Like, that doesn't apply evenly. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But,
And I wasn't buying the Trump optimism stuff either. I mean, he's talking about how Biden's immigration policies really dissuaded. I mean, Biden has enforced immigration law and done more deportations and removals than Trump or Obama in the sense relative to the amount of time that they've had in office.
I think the criticism is that Biden did put some sort of executive action moratorium, I think, on asylum claims or something. And people are like, well, he could have done that from the start. But I don't know if that would have held
I think it's illegal. I think what he's doing is illegal right now.
Yeah, I don't know if that would have held for years.
But that said, I do criticize Biden for don't look weak. If your position is it's illegal and Congress has to do it, it's so obviously a political move when you do something that you've been saying that you couldn't do for years and years. The truth is, and you guys aren't going to like to hear it, Biden has no responsibility whatsoever for the amount of migrant crossings that increased after COVID. None whatsoever. The responsibility, and I'll look into a fantastic Substack, will show you that Biden was processing claims faster than Trump. Biden was enforcing the law faster. We just had a very, very hot job market, and we were getting immigrants that we never got from different places. We didn't really have.
Well, and because what happened too was there was a huge dip during COVID where you had nobody coming across, not just because of Title 42, but also because people were sick, and it was like scaring people to do it. And then there was that explosion after. And then once people found that asylum loophole, which had existed for longer than that, but when people had figured out that was a way to get in,
the world is more interconnected. Word travels faster, and additionally, the exclusions under Title 42, they weren't formal orders of deportation. And so they've turned around and came back. And so it appears that border crossings and encounters are increased. I think 22, 25% of those, it's in that range, are repeat people that they found before because of Title 42 exclusions, where before it was like 7%. And so a massive spike in those kinds of catches.
I mean, we can tell this too, and you can tell how much of a problem this will be because over the next 4 years, I don't know if Republicans will say anything about.
But now our job market is not as hot. It's not as like...
Sure, it is still fairly hot, but I don't think they're going to talk about... But don't ever use that.
What the fuck?
Don't ever say that in front of me over our job market, because they say that these people are coming into the country to lie and steal and invade apartments and eat dogs and commit crimes and all this other shit. It has nothing to do. So they would never make that argument, but they will be silent on it for the next 2 years, and then caravans will pop up in 2026 when they have to elect more Republicans probably, and then again in 2028 when they have to win the election. But we'll see if Trump does anything about immigration in the meantime.
I want to call out the Democrats for being weak as fuck and passing the Lake and Riley Act, which is a bad piece of legislation, but because Democrats have no message on immigration, they're incredibly weak. This law, by the way, is going to take billions and billions of dollars to enforce, and it's going to require, 60,000 new beds and facilities in order to house a bunch of people.
Wait, fuck. Do I want to? What is this? When did this pass?
Recently.
Does that mean like a day ago or like a month ago?
Few days, few weeks.
Okay, Lake and Riley Act. This is
You'll have to look into it.
It's so crazy that illegal immigrants are murdering so many people, but we just have this one girl's name from like a year ago. Isn't that kind of weird? You'd think there'd be like 100 new names every day, right?
Yeah, no, and they're falling for the messaging. There's so much weakness, and people like, I have to call him out, Senator Fetterman going to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago.
I will be
a
little bit lighter, because it is kind of the senator's job to know about like
to go to Mar-a-Lago and be
maybe
like,
not to go to Mar-a-Lago, but to like for confirmations and stuff and talk to people. Did he go to Mar-a-Lago really? Do we know that did he talk to Trump at Mar-a-Lago? Maybe he just went. Maybe he just happened to be vacationing there.
He just went for the food.
Mar-a-Lago's a huge resort. Maybe he was just.
He said, "I'm going to go meet with the president."
Well, maybe he didn't get an invite. Maybe he just wanted to run into him there at the buffet. They got a really good buffet down there.
Talking about Greenland?
No, Mar-a-Lago. Isn't that in Florida?
He's talking about Greenland. Fetterman is.
Fetterman's talking about Greenland.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
You would support Greenland acquisition if they were okay with it?
If they were okay with it, maybe. I don't know why we're acquiring it.
Would you require the Denmark consent before you would, let's say Greenland wants it?
I think that
Greenland wants to be in America, but Denmark doesn't want them to be in America. What would your position be?
Oh, sucks for them. They're a sovereign country. They can't just lose territory because people want to leave. That's not how that works.
I seem to recall another territory of another country that people said wanted to leave that country, and then there was an election, and it was facilitated for that country to acquire. Do you remember what that country was, Stephen?
Are you trying to catch me on a loophole for Crimea?
I'm not trying to catch you. Yeah, Crimea.
What did I just say for Greenland?
No, I'm not trying to catch you. I'm saying you would agree that that was wrong, even if it were the case.
Oh, yeah, I held the same position. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to get me.
No, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Stephen went and got a pair of glasses out of his coat pocket.
I was wearing this whole time.
To put them on.
Fake news.
So that he looked smarter for this interview as opposed to the Adam Mockler interview. What does that tell you about how you view Adam Mockler?
He's young.
Do you see a lot of hope and potential in him?
Yeah, I hope so. We need to start. We need to make an agency to go draft up all these TikTokers. Although Trump might save it. I would be really. I'm curious. Do you think Trump will save TikTok or not?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's bought and owned by Elon Musk, who has a lot of Chinese interests.
Oh, interesting. Because I would have said he won't for that exact same reason. I feel like he would get so much pressure domestically because if TikTok goes away, all those users are going to be flowing to U.S.-owned businesses. So I would be surprised. People are saying he already is agreed to do like a 90-day thing or whatever, but I would be shocked. I think, like, imagine, don't fucking squint at me like that, you squinty motherfucker.
I was seeing how long it would take
shit. I think that, imagine you've got like fucking not Bezos, but you've got like Zuckerberg and you've got Musk in your ear. Oof. These guys stand to gain so much.
These robber barons, modern day robber barons. What we need in the Democratic Party is a modern day Theodore Roosevelt, who was a Republican at the time, but we need people who want to take these robber barons to task and not fall under their spell and become completely charmed. We don't want people to be charmed by Elon Musk. When you see Democratic representatives saying, Elon has some good ideas, that is weakness. These people are the enemy. MAGA is the enemy. And we do not want these robber barons to take control of the country. And what we have now is a complete conflict of interest. Donald Trump, and this goes to the immunity decision as well. The meme coin that just dropped, you have any words for that?
I need to look into that. This might be like, it feels like every day it's something new. He's not president yet. He's not even president yet.
On Monday, bro.
Supposedly the market cap of this coin is $28 billion, and they have 80% of it?
And it's open season for foreigners.
Everything.
To funnel money into this coin.
Well, to be fair.
To be fair, what?
I was going to say the federal government could investigate, but I guess...
Who?
I guess they're
going to install a bunch of corrupt pieces of shit.
Wow, huh. Well,
that's
never mind, I guess. Sorry, my bad. I was assuming that we had because the crypto stuff is kind of illegal to fuck with that, but I guess maybe,
The law means nothing as applied to these people, and they will do blatantly corrupt actions with blatant conflicts of interest. They're not even hiding it. So if you had a bunch of Chinese investors, Saudi investors from every different country you want, it's an invitation. Put money into this coin, tell me about it, and now you have an ear to the strongest person in the world. America voted for this. And guess what? It's going to cost you and your family a shit ton, both in terms of the deadweight loss that this corruption will cost you, but also in the rule of law being eroded every single fucking day.
But you get to own the libs while doing it.
Yeah. I mean they don't care.
A lot of the owning of
They don't fucking care.
Yeah.
When Hawk Tuah does it, everyone is up in arms. They're like, Hawk Tuah got... What do you think about Hawk Tuah?
She bounced.
She's out of here.
I tried to watch that girl's podcast. I think...
Is it unwatchable?
My guess is she got handled, or she...
What does that mean?
Like, I tried to watch her... I wouldn't say it's like horrible. I don't watch any of like the Call Me Daddy or whatever, any of these podcasts.
You're comparing... Let's be clear.
Wait, is that like
You're comparing Alex Cooper to Hawk Tuah girl.
Well, here's what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't know if the content is good or not. But I've tried to listen to...
She interviewed the vice president of the United States.
Nice.
Shit.
I tried to listen to it. I'm not going to say whether the content is good, I don't know. But like, I feel like there were like 5 ad reads in like 30 minutes. I was like, damn.
For Hawk Tuah?
Yeah.
You don't do any ad reads.
What?
You don't do ad reads, do you?
Well, initially I didn't, but since I'm trying to save our country, now I think people need to tune into ground.news/DGG. Okay, get yourself a Ground News subscription. Okay, if you want to be able to fact check and see the factuality of articles, if there's bias in the media, who's reporting on what, ground.news/DGG. It's a good thing to look into.
Why did you have an NFT?
Why don't I?
Why did you have an NFT?
I didn't have an NFT.
Why are you trying to?
Who are you trying to sound like right now? Is that your voice for those?
Why'd you have it? I'm CoffeeZillaing you.
Oh, I thought you were Marquis or that
Marky
one guy.
Mark.
No, what?
Who's the most famous Mark?
Mark
Cuban,
maybe.
Mark.
I'm so glad he hasn't sold out yet. I hope he doesn't.
Sold out. He owns Orlando.
So, Zuckerberg owns Meta, and he's fucking bowed down.
If you could have one sentence to give to Mark Zuckerberg, and it had to be the same sentence you gave to Mark Cuban, what sentence would it be?
Release all the personal information you have on Trump. Oh. In a video game.
Okay, folks, we're going to now talk a little bit. We have a few minutes left about tomorrow. Well, first tonight.
What a thing. Oh, tonight's cool too. Tonight is cool.
Yeah. So if you're in New York City, I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if everything's sold out, but there's a movie on at 8:50 called The Last Republican. Yeah. Information's in the Reddit.
Yeah, the Reddit.
So follow the Reddit. And then people were, hanging out.
It's easy to commute here now. Man,
so
what a
easy.
great law. As a rich person who can pay the New York fucking geofencing fine or whatever, so amazing.
No principles.
I'm so happy. I walk downtown. There's parking. I rented 3 cars. I would just drive it to a new parking spot and I run to the rental and just get another. There's like so many parking places right now. And then I see all of the the disgusting people coming over from Long Island or Jersey, and I'm like, all of these guys have to pay now into this city.
One of the races that we're watching is in Long Island, Suffolk County.
What?
We're gonna go after some of these New York reps.
What do you mean by go after?
Metaphorically, electorally.
Yeah, let's slow down there, Jesus.
Now he's not in Suffolk County, but we're gonna people like MAGA Mike Lawler.
Jesus.
What do you mean, Jesus?
Just you're using really.
Are you
language.
Christian?
I was Catholic.
You were a Catholic.
Yeah.
So now you're Protestant.
Once a Catholic, always a Catholic.
Okay.
But I would never be Protestant.
MAGA Mike Lawler supports Trump, the father of the SALT cap. He is the reason why New Yorkers are facing higher taxes. And Mike Lawler supports that. And so there are some of these targets, metaphoric targets. Oh my God.
Oh no, what?
There was a lawyer I was interacting with, an attorney general deputy, something from Florida. And I went to one of his tweets and it's like, Biden must resign and Trump must win. And the reaction to the tweet was when a news thing that said Biden said put a target on Trump.
I think I saw you fighting with this guy.
Yeah.
It was like yesterday, right? Or the day before? Yeah.
You watch my tweets and don't retweet?
So I got a lot of like stuff on my Twitter now. I'm worried I'm like retweeting.
Okay, so tonight we have the movie showing. And then later at that night, we're going to, details in the Reddit, but we're going to like a pub situation. We've rented it out. It's private. Just tell them that you're here for the Destiny event or whatever.
Just say
and try to look try to look as nerdy because the first floor is going to be normies, so you're going to have to go up to the bouncer and be like, excuse me, I'm here for the Destiny event, and put on your best Urkel glasses, and they'll know. But we have some drink tickets that we'll give you. Don't lie if you're watching this and not going to the private event just to get a drink ticket.
Why would you even put that in their mind?
There's also going to be food there, but if you want additional stuff, you're going to have to do it yourself. And tomorrow, why don't you? Do you want?
What a day tomorrow! Yeah. Oh my goodness, my good close personal friend Nick Mullen will be here. I don't even know what we're talking about. That's going to be
huge,
crazy.
He's funny.
He is very funny.
Yeah.
My other close personal friend, Marianne Williamson, will be here.
Great performance in the DNC forum.
She made some noise, which is good.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah. I mean, she did well.
Yes.
But you framed it as made some noise. Would you say that about Martin O'Malley, your crush?
He did in front when he was doing that, answering for the SSA in Congress. He made some noise.
He did make noise.
Warring pictures. I never thought about that. That's how we communicate to these guys. Who do you think tipped him off on that?
It was a DDG.
I need a bigger parking lot picture from the busiest day of the year.
Also, I didn't understand how that made any sense. He said, this is under your administration. This is what it looked like. And he said, this is after I took over. But it sounded like he was being responsive. So I don't know what the parking lot thing was that day.
My guess is, was this
during
Comer
COVID or
was
something?
Trying to fight with him?
They all looked like Comer, but it wasn't Comer Pyle.
I hate that guy so much.
He's like actually dumb.
He's evil.
And evil. Well, you can be dumb and evil.
He might be more evil than dumb. But
who's the dumbest, evilest person that you interact with?
Donald Trump. Oh, that I've interacted with?
Both dumb and evil.
Dumb and evil. Dumb and evil. Usually the more dumb you are, the harder it is to be evil. The more evil you are. Oh, maybe actually, yeah. Actually, that was really easy. It is Rubin.
Dave Rubin.
Dave Rubin is incredibly stupid, but also pretty evil. Yeah, that was really quick.
And shout out also to Jason Paul, who had a pretty cool moment. He was like, you guys are to the media, you guys are the reason that we lost because Joe Biden was doing fantastic. And you wanted to say, what's up with Jason Paul, with Joe Biden today? I thought it was a pretty base moment. But yeah, our candidates that we've brought on, they've been making some splashes. Also announcement, James Skoufis has dropped out and endorsed Ken Martin, who we also will be talking to.
Not to be confused with
Martin O'Malley.
Because when he endorsed Martin, I didn't know if they were just being disrespectful to the
Martins.
Governor.
Battle of the Martins.
Yeah.
Okay. So folks, that's what we have lined up for tomorrow. That's what we have lined up for tonight.
We have one more person tomorrow, don't we?
No.
Okay.
There may be a special guest, but that's still...
Okay.
Yeah.
Pisco will be here.
I'll be here, and everything will be good. And really, I want to thank you for coming down and for talking to these people. I think it's really wonderful you're doing this.
Thanks for setting it up. And you and all the guys in the back, I don't think I'm allowed to name them, but they're all like Eli's and...
Eli's?
Yeah, and like Inkelsteins and Weinsteins and all of this.
Jewish joke?
Why is it a joke? Cut us. Did they